reviews. Today we're going to review The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies.
You have but one question to answer. How shall this day end?
The feels. One last time.
Oh yeah, the feels. I really hated it!
I disagree.
Why do you disagree?
Well, I thought it was pretty good. You know, I had my concerns, but overall I really enjoyed it. Why did you hate it?
Why did I hate it? Well, let me put it this way. You introduce the first movie like as if it's going to be the beginning of something great. You make the second movie probably one of the best follow-ups to a really okay movie. And the introduction of Smaug was just magnificent.
Oh, that's for sure.
But how could you get so lazy by the third one?
Because there were only supposed to be two, and they probably should have kept it at two.
Well, here's the thing. It was like when they were writing the first two, they're like, oh, this is going to be so epic. Then they said, wait, we can make more money on the third one. Blah, 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 blah. People are going to buy this.
I would say it is interesting how they squeezed one book into 3 films, but then the entire 3 books were the first 3 films, if that makes sense. It's a lot of content.
There's just so much that's added that wasn't
Well, I can understand that
definitely necessary, but
I can understand that they're trying to fit in the whole backstory of Middle-earth, you know, Sauron, the Ring, all that.
I still don't think it was really necessary.
I didn't have a problem with it.
I think it was just to give like Galadriel and Elrond more screen time, which I was happy with because it's like they know that we want to see Lord of the Rings characters, which is why Legolas is such a big part. So I'm happy with it that way, but as a whole, it might have been better to just leave that out and just like stay with Bilbo, the Hobbit, and what he's doing, more like the book. But
it is nice for the people that don't read the books and aren't familiar with the story because it kind of like ties them together, so it gives them some kind of clarity in that feeling. But it was nice to see some of the older lore come in, like they mentioned Morgoth and everything, which, you know, if Silmarillion never happens.
That would be nice.
How about that, Chris?
But either way, why would you be so lazy on a series that was okay? You had it going good for the first 2, but then all of a sudden you just ruined it. Jackson, why?
Why do you
At 2, Jackson.
Why do you call it laziness, though? Because I would think a lot of work went into this one. It's a battle the entire time.
A lot of work. You see, I was watching that movie and I'm like, okay, this is starting out okay. In the first 10 minutes I was disappointed. I'm not going to give away any spoilers here.
Not yet.
Not yet. You will see that later. But how can you treat a character so awesome like crap? And not to mention, you throw every single cliche in the cliche book into that movie. That stupid dwarf elvish relationship was just the stupidest idea I've ever heard.
Okay, we won't talk about the Pirates of the Caribbean romance that was going on. You know what I'm talking about, the stupid mermaid. You know.
The only 2 things I was really worried about for this one was where they were going to go with that relationship, because I haven't liked it the whole time. Like, when I first saw that, I was just like, really? What are they doing? What? I mean, Tauriel, I like her. I like her as a character. I know she didn't exist, but she totally could have been there. So I like that they put her in, but then the romance was just a little much.
Well, the first 2 films, she wasn't that awkward. I feel like this last film, she was very, like, everywhere she went, she was very
I always thought she was a little awkward.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe because she was so new and they didn't really show her that much in the first 2 films.
Yeah, I think she was just nervous because she knew she was coming into such a thing. And she knew that a lot of fans would not be happy about her. Sorry. Yeah. So I mean, imagine being her. Like, imagine if you were you and they asked you to be in The Hobbit. You're not going to say no. But it's like, there weren't really any women in The Hobbit. So they made this role for you, but you want to be in The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know, the diehard fan of me would be like, I want her in the story.
I shouldn't.
I shouldn't hate it.
I was a little worried they were going to throw her into a part that they weren't supposed to.
Like
wait for the spoiler section, that we'll talk more about that, but towards the very end I thought they were going to. We'll talk about that later.
Well, I guess I accepted it by the time I saw this one. So, but I don't think they made, like, I don't remember any bad, cheesy, awful jokes like they did in the first couple. I was like, am I still watching Peter Jackson's movie?
Some of them were funny, but I was like...
Like when she's putting him in the jail in the first one, that, oh my god, I hate that.
You know you're beautiful. I've seen this in too many romance movies.
I still remember seeing them go into like Mirkwood and everything. I was just like, oh god, here goes. Here it starts.
Why couldn't the spiders have just done us a favor and killed them all?
There were so many things that were just not correct.
Because Keeley, I never really liked him when I first saw what he looked like. I was like, really? Like,
they had to make him look good.
You gotta replace Aragorn or something with a good looking guy.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, they also had that kind of subplot going on here. Which, that was already going on before Lord of the Rings even started. Why did you have to make it like an Aragorn Return of the King sort of thing?
Who, Bard?
No, with Thorin. You didn't notice that? It was reminiscent of Aragorn being... Yeah, but then, you know, release a dragon upon Lake Town and blah blah blah. You eventually see that, you know, we kind of shouldn't have trusted him. Which I did like that in this new movie.
You can never go wrong with this with Smaug. Like, they did him perfectly.
There's like
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Nothing wrong with it. I can't.
Although, I thought they rushed that whole, like, the movie starts.
Yeah.
And then it's like...
See what I mean by laziness? It's like, alright, we gotta quickly...
It's like, well, The Hobbit is pretty much over now. Now what? For the next 2
Yeah.
2.5 hours.
I was a little worried about the battle being so very long, but I enjoyed it. Sorry, Zach, but I thought it worked out well.
The battle was...
that amount of time.
No, the battle wasn't my problem. It was the... The battle wasn't my problem. It was the situations that the characters were in that was a problem for me.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's where the spoilers would come in, so wait for that one.
We're gonna do that very quickly here.
So, well, let's go ahead and give it a rating, and then we'll get to the good part, where, just to warn you, you may not want to stick around for the end of this, because we're gonna start naming some names, telling some stories.
We will spoil everything.
Yeah.
So after you see the movie, come watch the second half and see if you agree with us or not.
So I guess I'll start it off. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 7 out of 10, just for theatrical value. I really enjoyed the film. I know you book fans aren't gonna like it as much, but I really liked it. I'm a Percy Jackson fan, so.
3. I gave it a 3.
I said 3.5 earlier.
No, I said 3.5, but now I'm just getting more negative. Eventually I'll hit 2.5, then a negative 500.
He's getting fired.
I am going to say that we must go on a quest to find who wrote this movie and return him to the depths of Mordor.
No.
I'm not involved in this in any way, shape, or form.
You're gonna come with me, you're the wizard.
Okay.
Nope.
I might be a little biased because Peter Jackson is like the king of my world, and whatever he does is just automatically good. So, because Lord of the Rings is the best thing that was ever created. But The Hobbit obviously isn't as good. So I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10 because the only 2 things I was really worried about was the relationship thing, but it didn't bother me in this one. And those trolls, those like fat, weird trolls that were in, there was one in the trailer. It looked so fake. I was like, oh my god, this whole battle is just gonna look
There were a couple of them that didn't.
There was just the one kind that like they appeared twice and they just looked terrible, but the rest looked good. So I was surprised actually by how good it looked. So yeah, 8 out of 10. Sorry. We're not gonna help you like.
It seems to be an individual thing. As you can see, I am the only one here with a real sword.
He's the book fan. Well, we all are, but mainly him, I guess.
Oh no, I'm a source material fan. And not only that, but I'll give the movie the benefit of the doubt, but if you go against your own logic, then I can't believe I liked the first 2.
There should have been 2, and this one should have been called There and Back Again, because hello, that's the title of The Hobbit.
That would have been smart.
Would have been very smart indeed.
Alright, well, join us for part 2. We're gonna talk into some spoilers. Like I said, don't join us if you haven't seen the film. Yeah, we'll see you then. I definitely said Percy Jackson, didn't I?
Yeah.
I realized it right after. Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson.
Welcome to the spoiler part of the video where we are going to discuss things that you don't want to know unless you've seen the movie or read the book, I guess, if you want it to have it spoiled. So, where do we even begin?
Well,
We'll let Zach start.
Alright, so I'm going to start from the very beginning. So
Oh
it can.
god, maybe we should have an end. Can you make this short?
Oh, I'm going.
Let's just talk
believe
about
me,
like the end.
Believe me, I will fly through this faster than the speed of light. So we start off at the beginning. It carries off at the end of the second movie, Desolation of Smaug. So it has Smaug flying over Lake Town, blah 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 blah.
No,
Fiery,
summarize.
Yeah, we want to give all of it away.
fiery burning inferno, blah blah blah.
Okay, so that part, I thought they rushed. I think we already said that, but
That wasn't even
Yeah.
10 minutes in the movie, and they ruined it for the good character.
I don't know. I just felt like they could have done so much more in his death. He's such an epic character, and it just
It's like, oh well, here's,
done.
it was
I mean,
like, oh well, here's the dragon. Let's just pew.
I like the way that they made it look, like when he was falling and stuff. Thought it looked really cool, but they should have built it up more. Like we all knew it was gonna happen anyway because the second movie like makes it so obvious.
But you do it to a character.
Bard is gonna kill Smaug with the freaking arrow thing, obviously. They could have just built it up a little bit.
I do agree with her. I mean, you were keeping this character. Jackson was keeping this character so secret that he even teased us about the whole showing of it, and instead showed like a dragon from How to Train Your Dragon 2, I think, or something like that. So he finally shows Smaug in the Desolation of Smaug, and we are just treated to an entire epic performance by Benedict Cumberbatch, and just in the not even 10-minute mark, you just kill him off like that. How do you do that to a character that you built so much excitement upon?
Who the whole story is based around too, because it's, I mean, it kind of makes sense. Now I'm gonna sound really stupid because I read The Hobbit a long time ago, and
I read it like 7 years ago or something.
yeah, I didn't really go back and reread it because I was like, well, I'll just see what happens, you know.
Everybody's angry that way.
All the book fans are really mad. I'm not gonna do that to myself. The Battle of the Five Armies, I was like, I kind of remember a battle, but not really. I didn't realize that the battle was for Erebor until I was watching this movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like, they're, okay, I can go with this.
I knew where there were going to be some heartstrings pulled, because I know there were a few characters that were lost, but I didn't remember.
Yeah, I only
much about
remembered one. So when the other ones happened,
Yeah.
I was like, I turned to my friend, I was like, does this happen in the book? She's like, yeah. So I was like, what? And then the second one, I was like, did that happen in the book? And she's like, yeah. She's like crying. I'm just in shock. I'm like, what? Like, why?
Yeah,
why
I don't-
Tolkien?
I know they changed like a little bit, because I don't remember exactly what happened to Thorin, but I believe, doesn't he die a different way in the book?
I think they all do.
Yeah.
Because
Actually, that
Bilbo gets knocked out, and then, like, we're seeing it in the book from his perspective. So then he wakes up, and they're like, oh yeah, these characters died. And, I mean, Thorin was more like, I think they wrote that out, right?
Yeah, I don't remember.
But the other two is just like, oh, by the way, which is why I didn't remember.
They kind of just wrote in how epic Thorin could have been if Tolkien had told it that way. Which I will give the movie the benefit of the doubt on that one.
I did like the way like Peter portrayed it and everything. Like their standoff was epic. Like
I liked the whole ice thing.
the way.
The ice
The
thing.
ice.
Oh, yeah,
Although I thought it was
was
first
comical.
of all, the whole like stabbing through the ice, fine, but how did he launch himself out of the water?
Magic, apparently.
My,
there
my
were a
suspension of
few.
disbelief. My suspension of belief ended when Legolas started jumping off of the rocks that were obviously falling.
Then I was like, Peter Jackson had to.
I was like,
It's just like
Well, it's the same
a
as
joke.
what was it? Was it in Two Towers that he did like the elephant thing
That's
where it
in
was
Return of the
clearly
King.
like CGI? Is it Return of the King?
Where
Okay,
he,
that
like-
was,
Return of the King.
that was
yeah.
so bad.
That still only counts as one.
It's hilarious though. So obviously he had to top that.
It made me
somehow.
laugh so hard because it was just so obvious.
You see, there's a
It's just
difference.
painful.
There's a difference between taking out an elephant in Return of the King, but you know, jumping on stones in midair. No, I even said in the theater, no.
He's an elf.
Absolutely
This is
not.
not scientific.
He's an elf, so it's possible.
Well, they're supposed to be like really light and swift and agile,
Yeah.
so I guess
I love
it
all
could
the
work for them.
parts where the elves are fighting. Like that's
too
why
agile,
the second
don't
one
you
is
think?
my favorite because
Their unison, like when they were arming themselves, was just like,
oh yeah,
A little too choreographed because,
I don't
alright, we're
care.
gonna fire arrows. We
I
better
don't care.
step to the side, turn right, then step to the side again,
they're supposed
turn
to
right
be
again, then
like
step to the
again.
side.
They're supposed to be fluid, like perfect, graceful.
I think Peter
Little too well
Jackson
choreographed,
just
though.
overdoes things sometimes. He like pushes it.
it's okay sometimes though.
Sometimes it's okay. Other times it's like, come on. Even one of the characters, I don't remember who, at some point was like, come on. And I was like, that's what I'm saying, because whatever just happened was ridiculous. But this is something I want to bring up. Thorin's dad. Where was he? The first two movies, they like brought it up all the time. Thorin thought his dad was still alive. Where the heck was he?
You wanna know how?
Yes, please tell me.
So, at the beginning of Desolation of Smaug, you hear you hear Thorin say why he's looking around where he is, and he heard that his father was wandering around in fields somewhere nearby. But of course he wasn't believing it, but he wanted to be sure. Well, he couldn't find him. Then he runs into Gandalf, who had the map with him. Gandalf didn't have the map originally. The map was given to him by Thorin's father.
So where did he end up? Why didn't he come?
He was imprisoned by Sauron, I believe.
I just couldn't
from what I
believe
read up on.
that they didn't touch on that. They like left this like
They kind of
loose
just
end
like
open.
laid it out like, oh,
They, like-
he's either dead or he went mad
They, like,
because his
forgot.
father was killed.
Oh, he
so-
died. He definitely died.
I think they just forgot to mention it. Like it'll be in the extended because Peter Jackson will be like, "Oops, forgot to put that in."
Let's do a little bit of
That
George
happens.
Lucas stuff and that one.
That happens a lot in his films.
I don't know.
Why do you think the extended version of all the other Lord of the Rings movies exists? Because he's like,
Yeah.
you know,
But
let's
those
throw
are
in another
good.
one.
I enjoyed
I
those.
haven't seen the extended of Smaug yet, but the first one I was not impressed.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Anyways.
any of the Hobbit extended.
I'm still
One day.
just gonna say that there is nothing more epic than Benedict Cumberbatch saying, "I am fire. I am death."
That'd have been the most epic
that-
ending for the other movie.
That would have been. I don't know. To be honest, there is one part that I did like, and that was the ending scene where it had Bilbo returning back to his house and running into one of his family members who always wants to steal from him.
I loved the last like minute. How they tied it into Lord of the Rings. I was like,
No,
yay.
thank you. We don't want any visitors, well wishes, or distant relations. And what about very old friends?
Oh my god, that was the best. Oh, yeah.
That's why I
was
I
happy
enjoyed
with
how
that.
they like connected it to the Lord of the Rings films because it just kind of like brought everything together. I don't know. That was me.
I'm gonna say that was the
I
only
thought it
part
was
they
cute. It
didn't-
was like a little Easter egg, so it was nice.
I will say that the ending is the only part they did not get lazy on. It's like they did that part well, but the rest of the movie was like, you know what, we need some filler.
The actor
just
that
throw
plays
that in there.
Bilbo is just perfect. His
He is.
personality
Freeman.
just bleeds into his character, and that's what I love. He is Bilbo. Like, he is Bilbo.
To be honest, I was actually kind of upset that Ian Holm didn't do it, but I understand because
I was at first just because I was like, no, they can't have someone else, but
I'm
it
sad.
would
But
have
he
been
is- he
ridiculous.
is old.
It
You
would have
can't
been
believe it.
ridiculous.
But if you watch the Lord of the Rings, and this is the part that always made me cringe when I think about it, because I eventually accepted Martin Freeman, I'm not going to deny it. The beginning, Fellowship of the Ring, it's telling the story of how Bilbo came in with the ring, and it shows Ian Holm picking it up.
Yeah,
And I thought it
they
was
should go back and put Martin Freeman in.
No,
Special edition of Lord of the Rings.
No, because then Peter Jackson would definitely be pulling a George Lucas, and we already have the special edition. We
It's
don't
just
need
one
anything
little
else.
part.
No. That is a bad Frida
It's just an
Baggins.
idea.
That is a bad Frida Baggins.
I don't. It's okay. I don't need to buy any more copies of it. I already have like 3 copies.
Yeah.
I
You
don't,
buy the regular one, and then you buy the special edition, then you buy the extended, and then the box set.
I don't need the Blu-ray edition of Star Wars. I don't need the Blu-ray edition.
You do
of all
because
of it.
it's really good looking.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to hear Vader saying no.
Anyway, I do want to say I went to the marathon of all 3, and it was in high frame rate the whole time and 3D. So I sat there for 9 hours watching the high frame rate, and I didn't get a headache, but it looked really good. Like,
Yeah.
it looked great.
I just watched
can't complain.
that film, but it was awesome.
Yeah, I
It was
can't
so
complain about
nice.
high frame rate. So I would recommend that. And I saw it in IMAX. Good. Yeah.
It was beautiful. I had a
I
headache
can't wait to
actually
see it
before
again.
I went into the movie. By the time I got out, I was fine.
So cured your headache, see? All those
cured it.
people.
Yeah, see, I wanted to see it in the 48 frames per second 3D IMAX, but I was waiting for friends who also wanted to see the movie, and they could only make it to the 7:30 showing instead of the IMAX 7 o'clock.
Wow,
I did not want to see it in 3D because I'm not a huge fan of 3D, and 9 hours of it, I was like, no, please.
It's a fad.
It's a lot better with the IMAX. I feel like it's not. It doesn't hurt as much.
I kind of forgot that I was wearing them.
Actually, I can say there was like a few scenes in there which kind of exploited the whole 3D thing.
But that's great. Like, if I see a 3D movie and it doesn't do anything 3D, I'm like, well, that was pointless.
Oh, here, let me get my sword.
They do some clever things in all 3 of the movies I noticed that are 3D, like especially if Legolas is shooting something with an arrow and it comes right at you. It's like fascinating how they do it. I like it.
I did make the gesture to grab that black arrow out of the air a few times. I was like, no, don't kill him. Not yet.
A couple times you just want to like hit the screen.
Yeah, like, we don't want Smaug to die. He's too cool. Like, I don't care if they lose. He can keep the treasure. He's so cool.
I wanted to pull like a Hunger Games reference and just when he died. I was so sad. I was so sad.
Fine.
Oh! Can we talk about the scene with Sauron and Galadriel? Because that was
That was creepy.
awesome. I loved it.
was
I was
creepy.
like, afterwards I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna need a cigarette because it was just amazing.
I loved just seeing Saruman and all of them fighting.
We know that a 92-year-old can definitely win a fight. Christopher Lee has shown this.
Alright, well we're gonna wrap up this episode here. Be sure to join us for our Christmas episode. We're gonna go over some movies like Into the Woods. I know everyone's looking forward to that one. Yeah, so join us next time. We'll see you later.